Hello, beings and non-beings alike. I am your host, Wolfie LeMay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. My co-host and partner in crime is...
Hello, everyone. My name is Vito the Skeleton. It is a lovely evening, and tonight's topic is...
Yeah, you forgot something.
What'd I forget?
Welcome to the...
Oh, right, yeah. We officially have a name for it. Welcome to the BonePaw Podcast.
For those that are new and all who are new, because this is the first episode, the BonePaw Podcast is going to talk about a lot of topics. After all, it's one of our jobs to make sure the multiverse is running smoothly-ish.
Now, that is BonePaw Podcast. I like that because it also sounds like a pun. Now, during our trips into the multiverse, we have come across a very interesting specimen. One that I did not trust at first, but learned to love eventually.
That could be boiled down to a lot of things, from mythical ponies that you have yet to truly love, but you enjoy a little bit.
I don't want to be made into a cupcake.
She's not going to make you into a cupcake.
You keep saying that.
And yet you want to go down the holes of creepy SCPs.
SCPs I can handle. Ponies are a different story.
Really?
Yes, really.
We've been through, Mushroom Kingdom, Skylands.
But today we are settling on a little planet called...
Popstar!
Yes.
We're talking about Kirby, because Kirby is one of our favorite stops.
Yes.
Who doesn't enjoy a little pink puffball who's secretly, related to the death god of all?
Yes, for those that are unaware, apparently, and I had to found this out the hard way, apparently, Kirby is more than just the small pink puff that is really good at Smash Brothers.
Or eating things. Although it was fun to see you try to do gourmet race.
That was an interesting experience. But going on, Kirby as a character is very interesting because it is perhaps the best way you can subvert expectations.
It's an easy game, but hey, it's a lot of fun. And you can make it your own challenges. You don't need to use copy abilities. And with Kirby's new jump into 3D and the upcoming game that's actually a remake, but I'm super excited for, we might finally get more lore pieces. Yay!
Yeah, Kirby's as a series has actually made a staple for itself in the sense of, hey, we're going to drop little nuggets of information about our world, but we're also not going to tell you anything.
Like exactly the map of Popstar and all of Dreamland. How many places got popped up and then re-erased?
And actually, during our travels to Popstar, Wolfie discovered that I have a knack for translating.
Translation, spellcasting. For someone who's got a little bit of a magic problem, you're really good at it.
I'm good at saying the spells, not good at casting them. I can just say them.
You don't need new lightning strikes.
And I think it's only because I'm near you enough times.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, let's start from the beginning. So, as you may or may not know, Kirby was not always the gun-toting cowboy that he is in Forgotten Lands. He used to be a very small, barely able to throw a puffball
Yep.
Kirby.
His only attack was an air shot.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, you really didn't have much attacks. You picked up some items and were able to use them, like the spicy curry, which is why I keep showing up in Smash. And not in any Kirby series, because they're like, we have fire ability.
Which is the best ability.
I'm sorry if I like my static shock sweater.
Listen, it's only the best because Suplex isn't readily available.
No, if Suplex was, you would be doing that all the time.
Yes. Okay.
You and your fighting.
I'm sorry, but with the right abilities, Kirby games go from a Kirby game to a fighting game, and everyone else has 1 HP. That is just how that fighting game works.
Again, it's a reference to Ken, so Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter, right?
That is correct.
That is the whole point. That is why he has the headband, and that's why the two have different color headbands.
It's one thing to reference it, it's another that this becomes an entirely different game once you have certain things in play. But that aside, you can tell which game was my start.
And which game was mine, because that puffball has been a comfort character from the start.
Now, Kirby as a character is interesting for a number of reasons. One, his canon height is still debatable.
So, in the past, Sakurai, the guy who worked originally on Kirby, now he's working with Smash Bros., has said in the Smash Bros. Verse, Kirby is 8 inches or 8 centimeters. I'm trying to remember, but he's small boy. He's like the size of a plush.
Got it.
A really, like, I can fit you in my hand plush. But Forgotten Lands implies, because it's heavily implied humans live there, that Kirby's about 2 feet tall.
Because he's roughly the size of a car.
He's roughly the size of a small car, and in the, like, amusement park level, even though you can't see it fully, and there are some people who are actually trying to translate it, there are little height charts, because, you know, when you go on a roller coaster, you got to be a certain height.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some things, and Kirby can get onto some of them. And if you think about amusement parks, they're mostly targeted towards kids. And because they're targeted towards children, oh boy, most kids, when you realize, you've been around the 2 to 3 feet for like the last 5 years, you'll be fine on this really fast roller coaster. Just make sure your head isn't where the bar is.
It's called the learning experience. Now, so Kirby as a series has no stranger to debates and questions, because between the lore nuggets and Kirby's height, now keep in mind, this is the height of a character, the main character.
Which then heavily fluctuates everybody else's height, because Meta Knight and Waddle Dees are close-ish to Kirby's height, depending on the game, because Meta Knight's technically taller, but his body circumference is smaller, but his limbs are longer. And
so he's technically taller.
He's technically taller, but not by much. And then Waddle Dee is like almost the exact same height. Depending on the game, he's a little bit shorter or a little bit taller.
Now we're referring to the GOAT himself, Bandana D.
And then D is like 2.5 Kirby's tall, which if Kirby was back to like the 8 inches or 8 centimeters, D is just a fairy penguin. And if you don't know what a fairy penguin looks like, please look it up. It is cute. They're tiny. They're blue. Yes, they are blue.
So it is canon that they are blue. Depending on your verse.
They're small. I know they don't have wings, although that would be not in the human verse where we are recording this. Oh boy. There are a verse out there where every animal is a fairy, like down to the pixie wings. That is slightly terrifying because they bite everything.
Fairy tigers, let's go.
No,
Yes.
no fairy tigers.
Fairy lions,
No.
fairy rhinos.
I'm surprised you didn't go with bears next.
No, it's too obvious of a reference.
Also out of order.
Yeah. Oh my, she gets it. But yes. Now, I feel like a lot of what boils down this kind of series is that you also have to understand that when the series was in its infancy, Nintendo had no problem referencing other games in their games.
Well, that's the other thing. It's not Nintendo. Kirby's technically a HAL product.
And they were no stranger of saying, hey, we've got a bunch of stuff. Samus's Morph Ball, anything in the treasure hunt.
Oh, yeah. Everything from references of Earthbound, freaking Mario franchises, Legend of Zeldas.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just a Nintendo thing either. Like, I have to notice that back before games became this kind of massive company, they were not afraid to, like,
Reference everybody.
I mean, Solid Snake is canonically in the Mushroom Kingdom because certain things are there.
I mean, if you kind of figure as everything being connected, then everything is connected. And everything is connected in the multiverses. Yeah, that's going to be a topic for later. Multiverses are connected to other multiverses, which are connected to multiple multiverses.
So that is just going on forever. But, like Wolfie mentioned, we'll go our trip down the multiverse in another episode. Right now, we're focusing on a single verse. So, now, other than Kirby, there is one aspect of Kirby that I find very fascinating that I see a lot of the fandom kind of go nuts over.
Go on.
Specifically, Galactonite.
Galactonite may be dead, and now he is known as Morphonite, or Galactonite may be alive. Who knows at this rate?
But he's also Morphonite.
Everything is Morphonite.
Ooh.
Sorry.
A little close to the microphone.
I am... Morphonite has become the fun what are you in the series. Butterflies.
He is a butterfly. Which, that's also now counting the light novels, which are their own verses, which give Kirby his own personality, by the way.
Kirby talks.
Kirby talks in full sentences.
He kind of has the personality of like a teenager, maybe young adult.
There are certain light novels, and I think it's, I believe the first or second one, where we get an actual in-canon. I count it as canon. Now, its canonicity in the series is...
Game version might be different from the anime, because that's definitely clear since Kirby is not a child. If you really, really are analyzing it and not going off knee-jerk reaction.
So, it is told to us that enemies are very much aware when they are swallowed and kind of chill in a void.
Which does match up with the anime that we see when DDD takes a look inside Kirby's pocket stomach. But it's also referenced in the games, too, because it's Squeak Squad. In Squeak Squad, you can hold items in your stomach, and you can design the star background differently. Mm-hmm. So that is a common throughout the whole entire board of pocket dimension stomach.
Now, one thing that we have kind of picked up and kind of been peeking our noses in to pick apart, Kirby may or may not have some connections to the ancients in some way.
If he doesn't, that'd be shocking.
Because in multiple light novels, we are referenced not only the ancients, but Kirby's copy ability is also heavily tied to the ancients.
Not only that, I'm still mad at the freaking metal bird.
Yes, in one of the light novels, a specific metal bird is referencing Kirby's copy ability and is shocked that he has what is described as this ancient technique. Now, I don't know about you, but calling something ancient in a verse that has the word ancient in important context, it's one of those things that makes you go, okay, what was it? And he proceeds to get interrupted by our bad guy of the story at the time.
Yeah.
Now, the light novels are interesting because they do reference quite a lot of things in not only just the copy abilities, but certain games as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of references to everything. And that's not even also accounting for the manga reference. My favorite, though, out of the light novels is that Meta Knight just seems to kind of chill with the nobles, but don't like it.
Yeah, Meta Knight is implied to be a space-veering cowboy of justice.
That's one way to word it.
That really loves sweets. Like, he has a thing for sweets that's canon in...
everything at this rate. Like,
yeah, it's
the
actually...
Kirby Cafe even has a few desserts named after him.
It's one of the few
and they're all chocolate.
It's one of the few things I could truly say that we can say is canon, because it is shown in multiple pieces of media that he has a sweet tooth.
Yep. Not to mention you say the princess of a planet that literally is like constantly feeding its residents sugar.
Mm-hmm. So,
and she's in love with you.
Yeah, Meta Knight kind of turned down a princess for space adventures. So, have fun with your fan fictions on that one.
And she looks like a puppy too.
Yes, she does. So, with that being said, there are other characters that are also have their own moments to shine in light novels and in certain games. Like, for example, I can say wholeheartedly, Bandana D shines the most in Forgotten Lands.
Yeah, because he's kind of always there or implies to be there, even if you're not using multiplayer. He's always in the town, kind of encouraging you on and giving you little hints if you ask or constantly bug him. Although the fact he's just chilling in a lawn chair is hilarious to me. I'm on a roof. He literally chills in a launcher on the roof if you don't have him in your party.
Yeah, now, personally, I feel that he has kind of the best ability in the game because he, between the dodge mechanic, the parry mechanic, and just his overall basic attack, really good. Now,
Not to mention you never get the spare ability ever again. Maybe they might. They could give us it again for the re-release because we're basically having a remake of Kirby Return to Dreamland, which was on the Wii, which introduced the spare ability, which also introduced Bandana as a playable member. So we could get it again. I hope.
I hope so.
Because the fun thing is, like, when you have these types of party members, they are a permanent lock into an ability. So if you really like Sword, stick with Meta Knight. If you really like Hammer, stick with Dedede. If you want to reach the long things while you do a stab, Bandana's your guy.
But that is our current report on the pink buff ball that is known as Kirby. There's a lot more to go into him, and we definitely will go more into Kirby in our next episode.
And maybe even a few more Kirby AUs, because alternate universes are fun. They're always a fun to mess with and to just view, write down, organize, keep notes, because that is our job.
It also helps that in Kirby, in canon, there is an alternate verse that is just connected to it.
Yeah. Several, actually.
So definitely is one of those things that we're going to have a lot more fun gathering notes and researching for. Now, through the course of this episode, you've probably been wondering to yourself, what do they keep referring to by their job or verses? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, Wolfie over here is part of a school. Well, I guess I'm part of that too.
You did kind of join in to help at the finals.
So,
And you passed with flying colors and didn't have to take a test.
well, I appreciate the confidence. So, through the course of these podcasts and through the course of our adventures together, we will be researching, cataloging, and looking into the different verses that comprise of the multiverse. This includes games, comics, and just about everything that has to do with connected verses.
Animes included, which, oh boy, some of them are terrifying. I'm really nervous about 2 verses to go into. The
Now-
headache of Kingdom Hearts and Undertale, because, oh boy.
Now, that will not only be our primary focus, we will also be going into the horror aspect of things, such as the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, the SCP Foundation, and everything in between. The multiverse is vast, large, and quite comforting when you get a bird's eye view of it. Now, we will leave you on this note.
We also are dispatched to help out a verse. And one way to help out a verse is to nudge certain people in certain groups. Now, you may have noticed before I mentioned the human verse. There are multiple of you out there, and some of you may have feel a certain desire or longing of peace finally. We finally got a bigger job to do. We're going to help with that. We're making a movement, or at least encouraging our human counterparts to do so. All I must say is look out for the name Arcaven.
So, that's what you get for episode 1. We'll have more messages for those that are interested in Arcaven at the end of our episodes. Now, with that being said, we wish you all a pleasant night. And remember, when traveling the multiverse, keep your disguise on.
They don't dispatch those callers out easily, after all.